Hi, Linda. You have to go to the bottom of your screen and click on the microphone so that you're unmuted.
Okay.
There you go.
I couldn't get
Nice
through
to
on
meet
the
you.
other. Yeah, nice to meet you too. My first time trying this.
Wonderful. Nice to have you.
Are many people showing
Hopefully we'll
up?
have a few other people that will join us.
Yeah.
And we'll kind of take it from there. I think last time we had maybe 8 or 10 people that showed up for the meet and greet.
Okay.
And the majority, of course, were from the US. So we had US and Canada, actually. I'm going to stop the screen share now. We can go to full screen. So whereabouts in the world are you?
I'm in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Fantastic. And have you always lived in Philadelphia?
Uh, Pretty much just Pennsylvania my whole life. So no, not always Philadelphia though. Yeah. And where are you?
I'm in Southern California. I'm in Huntington
Okay.
Beach, and I've lived
Nice.
here for most of my life. I've been here since 1989,
Wow, great.
pretty much my whole life. So yeah. So other than when I was a kid for 3 years, I lived in Puerto Rico because my parents moved there for 3 years. But other than that, I've lived here pretty much. Well, and then in 2019, I lived in Europe and Sicily for 6 months. So
Wow, that's
yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
So what led you to Dr. Joe's work?
Well, that's a good question. I have been following him for about, I guess, 5 years. I think I got introduced to him because I went to an event where Greg Braden was speaking, and I knew Greg. And it was in Berkeley Springs. And they just bring in really interesting speakers. So that was my first introduction. And then I followed up when I moved into the city and found out he was doing a progressive workshop here, and I could actually walk to it. I was like, okay, I guess I need to go.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. To be able to walk to the event. I've never heard of anybody having an event so close to them that they were able to walk to the event. That's pretty cool.
It was very cool. So I'm going to the advanced follow-up in a couple weeks in Marco Island.
That is so fantastic. I'm actually going to be in Orlando, Florida for the advanced follow-up starting on the 19th. So I'm really looking forward to that. What's the date for the advanced follow-up? I've been wanting to go to the advanced follow-up. I actually was originally scheduled to go to Costa Brava, Spain, which, as you know, got canceled. So then that's when I decided to go to the Orlando event.
Yeah.
So
it's the 29th through, I think, the 3rd.
Yeah, so it's immediately following. That's what I thought. It's immediately following the 7-day. Gosh, I would love to go to that on the 29th.
Are you on the wait list?
No, I'm not even on the. I probably should get on the wait. Well, right now I already planned. Whenever I go to any of his events, I always plan to stay a week after so that I can sightsee and see everything wherever it is that the event is. So, like in Cancun, I went a week before and I explored Tulum.
Yeah.
And then came to the event, and then I stayed another week to explore Cancun. And so with Orlando, Florida, I've been to Orlando, Florida before, but it's been years now, maybe 6 or 7 years. So I figured out, I'm like, okay, so the week after, I'll be there a couple of days early. And then I convinced a friend of mine to go with me to the 7-day event. So she's flying in. And so then after the event is over, we're renting a car and we're going to like 6, 7 different cities throughout Florida, basically going from Orlando all the way, going north and then going to Destin and Pensacola and then back, and then we fly back home.
Nice. Yeah. Coming all the way from California, might as well make it a real trip.
Yeah, make your trip work for you. And then you take advantage of the fact that you're already there and exploring, Orlando. So not just Orlando, Florida. It's such a beautiful state and it's so diverse and it's so, it's a big state. So, and I have friends and family that live there. So I figure, okay, let me go meet up with a few people. So we're going to be basically a day per city and just, exploring two gals. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. So,
okay.
Yeah, so I probably won't catch this advanced follow-up that's also in Florida, although it makes sense to kind of do that, but then it would disrupt my vacation plans.
So, do that.
Yeah, so I'll probably do whatever the next advanced follow-up is right after that. So I think he has one coming up in, I want to say either June or July, because he has Cancun, I think in June, which I want to go to. So we'll see. I'm just going to kind of have to play it by ear.
So sounds like you go to quite a few.
Well, I haven't been able to go to any, I went to, like I said, my next one was supposed to be Costa Brava, Spain. And then the pandemic hit and that kept on getting pushed and pushed and pushed. And then finally they ended up canceling it just a couple months ago, I think on the heels of having the Orlando registration become available. And so when that got canceled, I'm like, okay, because I kept on saying, they keep on sending you emails if you want your money back or do you want it applied to another event? I'm like, no, I don't want my money back. I want to apply it to another event because I definitely want to go, preferably I would have liked to have gone to Costa Brava, Spain, but the main thing is to get to the monastery, right? And to receive the benefit of the instruction and the meditations. So I ended up getting an email that said, okay, it's canceled. But Costa Brava, it's now not postponed, it's just canceled. So either get your money back or apply it to the next event. So then luckily Orlando just came available. They had just announced, oh, we're going to be doing one in Orlando. I said, that's it. I'm going to Orlando.
Perfect. Yeah.
So I'm going to the Orlando event. I'm looking forward to it. And so have you been to a 7-day before?
Yeah. I actually, my first one was in November during the pandemic.
So you went that was in Marco Island, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And then this follow-up was originally supposed to be in Chicago. And then
I tried to register for that and then that disappeared.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's been a whirlwind, but he keeps going. It's amazing.
Yeah, so that's so fantastic. So you went to the Marco Island. So tell me, what was your first impression when you first got there? Did you have a certain expectation because of your, when you watch and we actually were at a progressive event as opposed to just watching the videos. So what was your impression when you first got there? Kind of tell us how that unfolded for you.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, everything that I'd seen before, it looks so different because of the pandemic. The people had to be spread out. There was no, contact really. We had to literally stay in our seats. But the meditations were just incredible. I mean, I had been putting it off for a couple of years and I thought, wow, now I know why people just rave about this because, and you get up in the middle of the night and you're there at 4:00 in the morning. And we literally meditated for, I'd say 8 hours straight. Some days.
Beyond 5 hours. Oh, so this is the first time. Okay. I didn't know that. Because in the past, with my group, the first one in Cancun, we did 4 hours, 38 minutes. And the whole room, when he told us that it had been 4 hours and 38 minutes, you heard a huge gasp, we're like, what? Because it didn't feel like 4.5 hours.
I guess he told me one day we had meditated the entire day for 8 hours. Maybe I have this confused. Okay.
Right? So no,
4+ hours. And then I guess, from there we went to breakfast, I'm pretty sure. But I love beach walks, the walking meditations were fabulous. Although there was one really, and my one friend, I made a friend there and she told me it's not uncommon that somebody starts laughing and
there's all sorts of reactions, which some people get annoyed by it, but one of the things, and I wish they would say this, to preface it so that people have a certain expectation, and he doesn't. And I think part of it is because you're supposed to figure it out on your own, but you're going to have people that all of a sudden start laughing. It's a natural physiological reaction, no different than a thermodynamic reaction where you all of a sudden get really hot or really cold. Or some people, it sounds like yelling, but it's actually, it's an actual energetic body trauma release. And it's opening up the 5th energy center, which is your voice, which some people have lost their voice. So the energy is released through vocal cords. And so it sounds like they're yelling and other people are having braingasms. The thing is, when you have something happen in your life, which is a surprise, unexpected, unwanted event, like a car accident, an emergency, all of a sudden a trauma hits you, guess what? It's not going to be peaceful and quiet. It's not going to be perfect environmental conditions. If you have an earthquake, if you have a hurricane, if you have a tsunami, it's not going to be, you're not going to be zenning out quiet. You could still be in a zen state, but you're not going to have perfect environmental conditions. And so what this is teaching you to do is that It doesn't matter what you're hearing, seeing, sensing on the outside. You could still be in that theta state. You could still be in that meditative state. You could still mold the clay, take things that are in particle form that are unwanted. By putting your attention on it, now it goes into waveform energy and it gets rearranged into the particle form into what you want. So you're able to change unwanted to wanted situations. But some people, they end up throwing away that whole meditation because it's like, oh, I just couldn't concentrate. Oh, I couldn't, it just bothered me so much, or it hurt my ears, or whatever it is that they're saying. And really, that's all ego speak, because the true you know, when you get into that place where you're no one, nobody, no thing, nowhere, no place, and no time, you don't feel your physical body. You are in a different, you're in the zone. So that's part of what that's teaching you. And then you quickly, well, in my case, I quickly realized that, you know, after going through the 7 days and so forth, and now I'm out in the real world. And then I had unwanted, shocking things that were happening. And I'm like, pause button. I am not going to freak out, get worried, get angry, get scared or anything. No, I'm like, because then I'm cementing in that this unwanted thing that I don't want. And I'm going to get what 99 to 100% of the people get, because they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening to me. Oh, you know, whatever their emotional reaction is in the negative, because it's an elevated emotion. Now it makes it more particle to particle. And now you can't change it. If you instead go, oh my gosh, pause button. It's not what I want. I definitely don't want this. I'm just going to slow down my breath, slow down my heart rate, slow down my brain waves, and I'm going to command my ego to be in pause. My brain is now my servant. I'm the master, which is the awareness, and I'm going to tell my brain what to do. And now in Quantum 5D, I'm going to upload, just like I upload my orders to Amazon, I'm going to upload my order. I have a visualization, and I'm saying and seeing exactly what I want to say and see. And then I have the elevated emotion of joy and appreciation and gratitude. It's like, oh my gosh, yes, 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 I did it, I did it, I did it. Then you let it go. And then in the real world, what happens is that you don't have a deja vu, you have a replay, almost word. In fact, for me, it's been exactly word for word. The how part, you know, you have an end result when you're visualizing. So you don't have the how part, because that's up to the divine. Yeah. So the uncanny thing is that the bottom line at the very end is, oh my gosh, it's trippy how the other person said exactly what you anticipated, what you visualized, what you as the producer, the director, the screenplay writer, and the motion picture in your mind. They end up saying in this 3D world the exact same thing, which is, to me, I'm going, it's not even deja vu. It's like I rewound the tape that was in my head, and now it's like a 3D experience. It's just, and then I'm feeling the exact same thing. And the only difference is that now it's 3D as opposed to 5D. And so the first time that it happens, you're like, oh my gosh, this is uncanny. And then the more you do it, you're like, wow, this is okay. I got it. This is how it works. I just have to remember to hit anytime I have the unwanted situation, hit the pause button, brain, do as I say. And now I'm slowing down my breath. I'm just doing the formula over and over again, knowing, not wondering, not wishing, hoping, you know, no, knowing that it's a mechanical thing. It cannot happen. The only thing that happens is that I can get in my own way. I can allow my ego to creep back in and say, it's not going to work, or it's going to work, or you just got lucky last time, which is your ego also lying to you again. Oh, you just got lucky last time. Or maybe it was just a coincidence. Maybe that was going to happen anyway. You know, it had nothing to do with the meditation you did. Well, that's all BS. It's like, nope, ego, I said, quiet. You're on pause. You're in timeout. Shut up. You're on pause. Brain, do as I say. And then as you do that more, then the ego, before you know it, the ego doesn't fight you anymore. And it's like almost automatic. It's like, oh, it's like, I'm not even going to bother to buck because she's going to put me on pause immediately. So what's the point? So eventually your ego stops doing that. And then it tries to get more crafty. And it's like, okay, we can't use fear. We can't use anger. We can't use freakouts. Oh, we can use doubt. I wonder if this is going to work this time. It tries to get more sneaky.
That's
You know,
right. I've been using the tuning into new potentials.
I use that a lot too. I
And
use that.
trying especially for this dating for a partner. And that's exactly what's happened to me was doubt really crept in the last month. And I'm just like, want to give up. Just
Yeah, and that's the ego, because the true you knows, listen, if you have in your heart, you have your person, you have how you're going to feel in his presence, how he's going to treat you, how you're going to treat him, how you're going to give love, have it received by him. He's going to give you love and you're going to receive his love. The type of lifestyle that you're going to have with him. It doesn't matter how detailed or how general it is. That person exists because you would not have that in your heart's desire if that person didn't exist, because every pot has its lid. You've heard the saying, every pot has its lid. For every button, there's a hole. When you button up a shirt, you button up a jacket, that hole is a perfect fit for that button to go through. So for that button to exist, there has to be an equal hole available for it to close up, just like every pot has its lid. So, we don't have, love is not sadistic. Love doesn't purposely make you suffer. It's not there on a joyride just to, get a sick pleasure out of watching you squirm. So perfect love, which is what God is perfect love. That's what the divine is. That's the truth of who you are. So that means that person is out there doing basically the same thing as you. They're going, this is the perfect woman of my dreams. Maybe I can't imagine, how beautiful she might be, but these are all the things I want to feel with her, experience with her. And maybe, he has a preference for a brunette as opposed to a redhead or a blonde, whatever, curly hair, straight hair, whatever. But the point is someone's dreaming of you and going, okay, how can I attract her into my experience? Where can I find her? Men are hunters. So they're going to go, I need to go out there and find her. I know that woman is out there and now I just need to find her. And so the more you're co-creating that experience where one day, boom, it's going to pop into your experience. And to be honest with you, Linda, it could happen tomorrow. It could happen later today. Because as you do these meditations, and it's like I'm almost starting to get to the point where I'm starting to move away from calling it a meditation. Because meditation, self-hypnosis, mystical practices that the Taoists and the Kabbalists and the Essenes and a lot of these yogis and so forth, it all kind of melds together. So it's basically just a quantum law of nature that exists that we are applying very precisely, and that's why we're getting the same outcome every time. We've been blessed. We've been a co-creator with Dr. Joe in that he figured out how to language it, not just experience it, but language it and dovetail the information and express it in such a unique way that we're able to absorb it and apply it immediately. And so now, as we're moving forward, it's like, I was just talking to Tomas. Tomas was in the Golden Eagles in Cancun 2019, which is where I first met him. And we had Dr. Joe's son, Jace, was our group leader. And he talked about how, what led him to Dr. Joe's work was he had, some sports injuries. And so he had a knee issue. That's his health thing that he really was drawn to go there to help heal. But he has a lot of resistance towards believing, even though has seen with his physical eyes a lot of healing manifestations, he has some inner resistance towards that, but he didn't have resistance towards money, which is why it was suggested to him that it's like, okay, you don't care about money, so just try and manifest some money then, since you don't really care about money and you don't pay that much attention to it. So he did, and boom, he manifested $30,000. I actually interviewed him on my show, and then he's like, the ego's going, okay, well, we got to use something a little bit more subversive. So let's put doubt, because wait a minute, no, that 30,000 came. He knew that his dad was trying to sell that house. for years. He was like 6, 7 years. He'd been trying to sell the house and hadn't been able to. And even though his father had never given him or his siblings any money for that matter, there was no reason for him to believe that when that sold, that he would get any money. And no dialogue was ever done with his father or him or his mother having to do with money. And he just threw out in his meditation, okay, I'm going to manifest 30,000. And he just did the formula. And then he told his sister, I'm going to manifest 30,000. She's like, okay, whatever. Next thing, he gets a call and he finds out, oh yeah, the house sold. Finally, it sold. And the father decided, okay, I'm going to give each one of the kids 30,000 apiece. So he's like, wait a minute. He's like, wow, it worked, but it wasn't unknown because I knew about the house.
Okay.
It was a surprise, but it wasn't unknown because in his meditation, he put that it was a surprise and it was unknown. So he's like, okay, well, no, I got to keep going because this isn't it. So he kept on, to manifest. And then his financial planner guy came to him and said, okay, there's a friend of mine. They have this company and it's growing. You might want to invest stock in it. He wants to meet you. And he's like, okay, whatever. I'm not that attached to the money. So sure. So he met with the guy and it looked good, sounded good. He's like, sure, I'll invest. So he invested with the guy. And over the next 12 months, he proceeded to work with the guy. And he went from, at that time, he lives in Mexico. And at that time, he had never earned at work over $1,000 a month. Well, he started earning $5,000 a month. For the next 12 months, he's like, oh my gosh. He kept on making more and more money. And he was like, oh my gosh. But then he's like, wait a minute, but I already knew my financial planner. So it's not completely in the unknown. So then he threw into his meditation, it has to be completely unknown. It has to be a surprise. I'm making money in my sleep. And he put, I'm going to put a bigger number. I'm not going to put 5 million because I really don't believe I can do that, but 100,000 because he did 30,000 and 5,000 a month. He didn't ask for the 5,000 a month. That's just what ended up happening. So he's like, I'm going to do 100,000. I kid you not. He manifested 100,000 doing the exact same thing.
Wow.
So, and you can watch the video. I'm about to publish that video. We did a live on it and the edited version is about to go up in the next day. But as soon as that manifested and the wire hit his bank account, he said, oh my God, I get it. I don't ever have to work again. I know I don't ever have to work again. I can just really follow my heart's passion, which now he goes to 100% of every Dr. Joe event, 7-day or advanced follow-up. Often, most of the time he volunteers because of his physical size, because he's like 6'1" or 6'2". He's a big guy, about 6'1", 6'2". He looks like a basketball player, tall, solid muscle, strong. So he's able to help people who are in wheelchairs and need being lifted up, being, to stand, to sit, to be carried. He can do all of that. Not an issue for him. And he just absolutely loves being in that energy and just, that's his passion. And so now that's where his heart lies, is to continue doing Dr. Joe's work. Money is not an object because he literally manifests it out of thin air. And so he does this is
so
what
where
he does.
did 1,000 come from?
The 100,000, it came from a company that found him and said, you've got money with us, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, they sent him a letter and called him. And he's like, that's my name and that's my address. But he's like, I've never heard of this company before. Talked to his financial broker and he said, did we invest in this company? And his broker's like, no, I've never heard of that. I don't know anything about that company. I have no idea. If you did that, you invested on your own, but I have no idea. Long story short, he told the company, he goes, I think you got the wrong guy. I know you've got my name, my address, but it's not me. So just close the account. They said, well, we can't close the account. You'd have to liquidate it in order to close the account down. He's like, fine, whatever, close it down. But, it's whatever. So then they said, he said, well, how much money is in there? And he's thinking maybe there's like $100 or $500, maybe 1,000. And they said, well, there's about $100,000 that when you liquidate, it'll be about 100 grand. He's like, no way. And they're like, yeah, there's about 100,000. So now he's like, I want that money, right? So he's like, well, whatever, just close the account down. He's like, he's thinking nothing will ever happen, right? So he gets the paperwork, he fills it out, he sends it. The wire hits his bank account. And when the wire hit his bank account, he's like, wow, this is how, he goes, I get it. I now understand how to do this. I've got it. I never have to work again. I'm just going to, now he always stays, Dr. Joe always picks 5-star hotels. So now he's in the process of manifesting a dream home. He says, I don't care where on the planet it is. It just needs to look this certain way. He goes, I don't care what it costs, because since I can manifest the money this way, so I'm just going to keep on. He goes, my heart is like completely wide open. I'm just loving my life, doing what I'm doing, feeling what I'm feeling, seeing the people that I'm seeing, helping the people who are clearly incapacitated when they're at Dr. Joe's work. He goes, it just makes my heart even burst open bigger. I just feel even more love that I'm able to be there for that person. That person was probably wondering, what am I going to do when I get there? I can't afford to bring, to hire somebody to come with me to the event. And I'm able to be that person for them. And so he goes, I'm living my dream. He goes, it's really unbelievable. He goes, sometimes there are days that I don't feel so great and I don't do the meditations. He goes, sometimes maybe 2 days will go by and I won't do the meditation. And I'm like, he's like, okay, ego, you beat me up enough. It's like, I know better. It's like, then he'll do the meditations.
What meditations what's he doing? There's
he
so
didn't
many.
I didn't ask him that, what meditations, because, the more you do the work, you start to realize that it's all the same thing. It's really, it's pick the meditation that resonates the most with you. It really doesn't matter. It could be blessing of the energy centers. It could be tuning into new potentials, changing boxes. But really, like when you're out there in real life, you're not going to have like an emergency and then you're going to go, okay, let me turn on the blessing of the energy centers, or no,
Right.
you have to be your own guide. So you have to now hit the pause button so that you don't continue with an emotional reaction, and then slow down your breath, slow down your heart rate, slow down your brain waves, do the slow breathing, and then start to create what it is that you want. You've already given your ego and your brain the command. Now every time you get faster you can instantly get into theta state, because we're doing this work pretty much daily.
Yeah.
So now you're instantly in theta state because your body has body memory. So you automatically go into theta state, and then you are going to you're going to change the particles that are unwanted by your taking your floodlight of attention, and now your inward attention, which is what intention is. You focus it like a laser beam, and now in quantum, you are creating, you're like, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is the end result. I'm changing this unwanted. It's like off the table. This is what I want. I want my stolen cell phone. I want to recover my stolen cell phone. I want my car that's parked in a locked gate that there's no signs posted anywhere. And now it's like, how am I going to get my car out? Okay. I want to see myself driving out of there in my car, easy peasy, and going, yes, 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 I did it again. I'm like, yes, 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 it worked. I got this. I made the impossible possible. And then now it's turning from particles to light wave and being rearranged into particles again. And now you let it go, because now you have gratitude and appreciation. The ending is always gratitude and appreciation. Yes, 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 I did it. You're like so excited because you did it again. Then you let it go. And then now you're like, there's nothing for you to do when you come back from that. Mm-hmm. You're like, okay, now you take your attention off of it, which he doesn't talk about this much, but in my experience, I had a meditation and a recognition where I was like, oh, I'm like, no one's ever languaged it this way to me. And I thought, it's a magnetic pull energetically that you're creating in quantum physics. So the letting go at the end is as important as you're doing the process leading up to that point. When you let go and you do nothing, then you tact that manifestation from the earth, because your feet are on the earth. It's like your foot is off of it. Now it can bubble up. It's released to now come back down into your experience. So you have to take your focus off of it and don't dwell on it. Otherwise, it's still tacked down on the earth. So you let go, and now you might literally do a 360 physically. I do like a 180-degree turn, and then I move in the opposite direction, walk around. I'm like, I know that there's nothing for me to do. I've affirmed in my mind that men are magical, mystical creatures. That's because I'm a girl. I'm sure guys can do the same thing with girls. But for me, I always affirm. And interestingly enough, men have been pivotal in a lot of the unwanted situations, getting me back. Like, for example, this phone was stolen when I was in Sardinia at night, about 9 p.m. at night. And on the guy there were like 6 or 7 men that were helping me find the phone. And then he said, do you have Google? And I said, yes, I have Google. And he said, well, we can track your phone on Google. All I have to do is enter your phone number. So he did that. And then he saw, he goes, your phone's not lost. Your phone's stolen. I go, why do you say that? He goes, look, here we are in the plaza. Your phone was in the plaza, but now it's that person, whoever it is, they're on the other side of town. I'm like, doesn't matter. I'm still holding to my vision. Now I'm doing a walking meditation as I'm talking to this guy. I'm like, I knew that I had to do the walking meditation and just do it with my eyes open, which luckily Dr. Joe trained us to do that, right? Mm-hmm. So the guy doesn't know that I'm slowing down my breath, slowing down my heart rate, slowing down my brain waves, that I've affirmed that men are magical, mystical creatures. That's all an internal process that's going inside here. Then I witnessed the magic. He said, he goes, you know what? I'm going to get you your phone back. He goes, do you have a car? And I said, yeah, my car's right over here. I got a rental. He says, I'll go with you. I'll take you to the other side. It's at the store on the other side of town. So he jumped in. He's like a 25-year-old guy, jumped into the car with me. You would do that for me? And he said, yeah. I said, great. Jumped in the car. We drove to the other side. Long story short, the entire time, it took about an hour. An hour later, he put the phone in my hand, just as I saw in my creation of my visualization.
Yeah.
Crazy. And I have video. In fact, I have video. I'll show you, because I think I saved pictures of him on, and I also have, I actually had my phone stolen once, and then I lost it horseback riding, also in Sardinia, the following day.
Jeez.
I never lose anything. I don't lose keys, phones, purses, wallets, glasses, sunglasses, which are the most common things people lose. I never lose anything. So I knew that the divine was trying to get my attention, because I said, wait a minute, because when Matteo told me, and he put the phone in my hand, he said, look, he looked me straight in the eye. He goes, while you're here traveling in Italy, don't ever put your phone down on a table, on a bench, on a chair. Secure it in your bag or your purse, put it deep down in there, but don't leave it laying around, because it's gonna get stolen like this. All you have to do is blink and it's gonna be gone. I don't care, it's sitting right next to you. So don't set your phone down in public. Always secure. He goes, and then he put his hands on my shoulder. He goes, secure your cell phone. So I said, I got it. I knew that the divine was speaking through him. So the next day, actually 2 days later, when I was going to go horseback riding, I took my cell phone and I secured it deep in I had a backpack purse. I put it deep in my purse and I put my makeup bag on top of it and then closed my backpack, went horseback riding, and wouldn't you know it, my backpack never before or never since then has ever opened on its own. But it did that time, because I wasn't just riding a horse, I was galloping, because it was a 4-hour horseback ride, and there were about 8 of us riding. And sometimes we would walk the horses, and then other times we would trot the horses. We were galloping and trotting. So Let me see if I can show you. Long story short, okay, so here, this is the guy, Mateo. He's the one who put the phone back
Okay.
in my read. And then, long story short, so I'm riding my horse, and then all of a sudden the gal behind me, Kelly, a gal from Ireland, told me, she goes, Lillian, you dropped something out of your backpack. I think it's another purse or your makeup bag. So I'm like, oh, okay. So get off the horse, retrieve the makeup bag, put it back in my backpack. She goes, that's the only thing I saw that came out. I'm like, great. Got back on the horse, kept on going. When we got back, it was, we rode through sunset, and we rode, I got to show you this because we even rode through water. You'll see here.
Mhm.
This is, we're riding through water, the Salinas.
Okay.
So long story short, we get back to the stables, and 4 hours later, it's pitch black, and we start having beverages. And then I go to pull out my cell phone to look at, I had to put in my GPS to get back to my apartment that I was renting there. And I can't find my phone. I'm like, no, my phone has to be in here. It's impossible for me to have lost my phone because I never lose my phone. I just had it stolen yesterday. So statistically, it's impossible for it to be lost or stolen again. So I'm looking in my bag. I can't find it. I empty out my entire bag. I'm like, oh no, it's somewhere out in that 4-hour trek. I'm like, and now it's pitch black. So I tell Manolo, our guide, I'm like, and he speaks Sardo. He doesn't speak, like I speak Sicilian and like more standard Italian. He speaks Sardo. So he spoke Sardo and French. He didn't speak any English. So between, Italian and French, I was trying to communicate to him. It's like, my cell phone. It's like, it's back there. It wasn't just my makeup bag. Apparently my cell phone is back there too. He's like, well, we can't take first of all, there's no cars that are allowed in that area because there are no roads. And it's pitch black, so we can't take the horses. So if we go back, it has to be by foot. So at this point, I had already hit the pause button. I said, slow down your breath, slow down your heart rate, slow down your brain waves. Men are magical, mystical creatures. And then I'd already started to visualize him, a man getting my phone back and putting it back in my hand because I just had that experience, the day before. So he's like, oh, it's impossible to go out because it's where he goes, you can't even see your hand because to boot, there wasn't even a full moon. There was like no moonlight at all. And there's no city lights or anything like that because it's out in the countryside. So all we could use were our, flashlight. I didn't have a flashlight. He had a flashlight. And I said, you've got to help me recover my phone. I said, my boarding pass, I leave tomorrow. My boarding pass is on there. My itinerary, everything is on that phone. I have to get my phone back. He looked at me almost exactly what Mateo said, which was amazing. He goes, I will get your phone back. And I said, great. So we went out there. I had no idea. I had no attachment to how long it was going to take. I didn't know if it was going to take 5 minutes. I knew it was going to take longer than 5 minutes, or if it was going to take hours, if it was going to take all night. But I'm like, I'm not attached to that. It takes however long it takes, as long as he's willing. I'm willing to walk till dawn, if that's what it takes. If he's willing to walk till dawn, combing and searching everywhere. So we went out there. It's pitch black. Long story short, I'm going to cut to the chase. First, he found some black glasses, which were almost identical to black glasses that I found in a rental car when I was in Palermo. So I said, interesting. So he goes to me, are these your glasses? And I said, no, but I'll take them. And so he gave me the glasses and I immediately knew, I'm like, okay, I knew the divine was doing something, because what are the chances that I would acquire 2 pairs of black sunglasses that are almost identical while I was there in Sicily? So I knew that the divine was trying to tell me something having to do with vision, but I didn't know yet what it was. So I said, interesting. So I got those glasses, which I was clueless when I found the first pair. But when I got this pair, I knew that it was a sign. So I took the glasses, put them in my backpack. And then he found, I had given everybody, I didn't know how many people were going to be horseback riding, but I put a bunch of Twix bars in my backpack, and I handed those out before we got on our horses. And then I didn't feel like having mine, so I left mine in my bag. So I don't know how, he's shining the little light, and all I'm doing the whole time is I'm just walking behind him. All I could see was the light that was shining his feet, because he had the flashlight pointing downward, and he would bounce it to the left and to the right, looking around. So if it weren't for that, I would not be able to know, I wouldn't be able to follow him, because I could not even see my hand because it was so dark. And I just kept on affirming, affirming what I saw, and kept on saying in my in my mind's eye, Manolo, 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 oh my gosh, you made the impossible possible. You're a rock star. You did it. You did it. You did it. That's all I kept on affirming for that entire hour. Next, he found that Twix bar, like not even 5 minutes later. As soon as he found the Twix bar, I said, oh my gosh, yes, that's my Twix bar. And that was a sign to me that we were on the right track. I now knew that we were close to where not only my makeup bag, which I had recovered previously, but I knew that my cell phone must have fallen out about the same time that the Twix bar and the makeup bag fell out. So I'm like, okay, we're getting close. And a few minutes later, he found the phone. And the thing is, he had been calling on his cell phone repeatedly. He kept on doing redial, 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 redial. So there was like, I don't know, 70, 80 or 90 redials.
Uh-huh.
And then he took a picture of me once he put the phone on my hand. This is me in the car. Because he tried to take a picture out in the countryside, like when we were outside, and it was too dark. It wouldn't take. So then once we got in the car, we walked all the way back to the car, and then that's where he took this picture. And then that's my battery pack that I'm holding above my cell phone. It's like he actually found it.
Wow.
So that was pretty crazy to think that was possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So one of the things that happened, I had a spontaneous healing during one of his live streams.
Wow, you're kidding me. Oh my gosh, tell me about it. Oh my gosh.
So at November 2019, I had just done like my advanced Psych K workshop in New York City. I came home and I was just kind of spinning around. It was so much energy. And I was walking to the coffee shop and I got my foot caught in a crack. I was going to let these two women pass by me. So I moved over, I went down, I broke my knee. I landed on my arm. I mean, everything was just a disaster, right? Oh. So, and then like, I don't know, a few days later, I'm all like in a cast, or not a cast, but a brace. And I thought, I got to walk down here and see what happened. And on the telephone pole that I landed against, somebody had posted a sign, "Let's meditate." So I said, whoa, I think I'm going to get some healing through meditation. And I had already signed up for the live stream. So, I was practicing ahead of time, and I sit down here on my couch to do it. So I don't know which energy, whatever we were in. And I felt this surge of energy, like go right through my wrist. And I hadn't been able to open a door with my hand, wrist, nothing. I was in so much pain, and just that quick, it was healed. And I took the brace off my wrist, and like everything worked normal. So, yeah.
Wow. You're the first person I hear who gets an instantaneous healing through a live stream, like one of the Dr. Joe live streams. That is so fantastic. What an awesome experience.
Yeah. But just like, where you got your sign ahead of time, that for me was the little sign posted that just said, "Let's meditate."
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's interesting because it's like, as you start to pay attention, because, in the guided meditations that we do with Dr. Joe, he always says, okay, now ask the divine to give you a sign that you're on the right track, that, et cetera. And so I was having I've always been asking for signs even before Dr. Joe's work. It's part of, like, I've had a lot of miracles and serendipity beforehand. So I knew when I got back to my car, like the first time when I had this stolen, when I got back to my apartment, I'm like, okay, what's the deal here? Because I was careful. There was nobody in the plaza. When I sat my phone down next to on the bench, you know, those cement like park benches, I set my phone down. Reached into my bag, got my windbreaker, put it on, and then proceeded to leave. I was juggling my Canon camera, which I don't know if you could see. Yeah, you can kind of see that a little bit over here. I was juggling that camera. So I was taking pictures with both that camera as well as my cell phone. So I was being careful. And, you know, Europe at large, there's an issue with especially like in London, there's a lot of issue with petty theft. But in Italy, I really hadn't seen, I witnessed nothing having to do with crime, not even police given parking tickets or even traffic tickets. So I really didn't have, you know, Sardinia is so little, it's very tiny. And now I'm in this little plaza, right? So long story short, so I get back to my apartment, and when I sit down and start meditating, and of course the whole drive back, I'm saying, okay, God, you know, what's the scoop here? What's with the phone being stolen? I go, you know that I know that the meditations work to manifest, you know, anything and everything now. And now I've had so many different things that I know. So what's going on here? And so one of the things that it was kind of called to my attention was that it had to do with communication. He was using something on the outside, a communication device that we all use on the outside, to have me pay attention to the communication inside. I said, I'm like, okay. I'm like, but I thought I was paying attention, but maybe he needed me to have that experience in that way to just bring it down deeper, a deeper level. So I said, okay. I'm like, well, whatever else it is that you are trying to express to me to have me know, I'm like, I'm open, that's fine. And I got the message loud and clear that, you know, that I'm not to set my phone down, that I'm supposed to put it deep in my bag. I got that part, which the next day I did when I went horseback riding. So then you can imagine how taken aback I was when my phone gets lost after having been stolen. So when I got back to my apartment again, I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Stolen yesterday, lost today. Yes, both times were recovered. And what's the scoop? And then I held up in my hands, I'm like, what's the scoop with these glasses? You gave me a pair of glasses in Palermo that were black. And I pulled out, I'm like, these two glasses are almost identical. You're obviously trying to tell me something. And then I heard him say, I'm going to say him because in English we have, you know, it's like either God is a he or a she, right? Mm-hmm. But it's an energy. But he said, look at the glasses. So then I took them and I just looked at them. And I didn't hear anything on the other side. Just look at them, look at them, look at them. And I noticed both, first of all, they're both almost identical. They're solid black glasses. Not only is the frame black, but the glass is black. Oh. That's exactly what I see when I first go into theta state, it's all black.
Oh.
I have two of them, as in two eyes. And then I realized, he goes, you need to stay in that inner vision of being in quantum 5D to create whatever it is that you want in 3D. So he was telling me, and he was giving me something on the 3D outside plane to bring my attention that this is where your focus needs to be on. Yes, there are going to be great things on the 3D plane. There are going to be things that are unwanted. And the key to all of it is to stay in that 5D realm and to close my eyes. That's where everything is created. I'm like, I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. I call those glasses my manifestation glasses, even though I don't use my glasses when I'm meditating. They're always in my bag or my car. But I got the message. I'm like, okay, so this is happening for me to get the message of communication and relying on my inner vision, which in 5D quantum, you always start in the black velvet void in space, not outer space, you know, because some people think that when Dr. Joe says space, it's outer space. No, it's the black velvet void of space. It's just that it's the 5D quantum realm. That's where everything starts.
Mhm.
And I said, okay, now I get it loud and clear. I'm like, whoa, this is this is tripping me out, but I'm going, okay, this is cool. It's fun. It's just kind of like, wow, you know what I mean?
That's so cool. What a story. Yeah. So what do you do? Do you like
Well, I'm a producer. I've produced radio shows since 2006. And I've been an entrepreneur. I've owned a mortgage bank. I founded and originated and grew a mortgage brokerage to a mortgage bank. Also owned a real estate, an international real estate franchise. But I've been a producer for many years now. And so I also produced this film. We just premiered it, called Quiet Explosions.
okay?
It's about traumatic brain injuries. I happen to be a clinical certified neurosomatic practitioner. You see some of my certifications and degrees up there. But yeah, so I'm a neurosomatic practitioner. So I do deal with issues having to deal. I have neurosomatic practices to help people relieve pain instantly using neurosomatic methods that I've devised because I stack them together. And so I've been able to help people. Like I have a gal, for example, she lost her memory when she was shot in the head. She still has the bullet in her head, and she had lost all of her childhood memories. So for 20 years, she's only had memories since that incident. She still has the bullet in her brain, but I was able to recover her memory through these neurosomatic processes. And there was some intuition because I received a download telling me that I needed to program water in this neurosomatic process to get her memory back, which in fact did work. So that's what I do. I help people relieve pain, release physical, emotional, and spiritual trauma in the body. I also have, regressions technologies certification. So sometimes, depending on the individual, sometimes you have to regress them back to, them being very young or all the way to, the point where they were conceived, or sometimes even before. So that's what I do. So I'm basically a producer and an author, writer, and if you haven't heard or seen the movie Quiet Explosions, I would encourage you to check it out. It's a very revealing, surprising film. We uncovered some uncanny things about traumatic brain injuries that the general population doesn't know about.
Oh,
And a lot of people don't realize that. We know through Dr. Joe's work that you can heal anything. No one is so special that has something so traumatic that they can't be healed through these meditations. That we know. And not only can we do the meditation for ourselves to heal ourselves, but we also can do obviously coherence healings where the person doesn't have to do anything. They just receive the healing. And we know that that works equally as well. And we know that it works remotely. And so through that film, though, everything we had, professional football players like Anthony Davis and Mark Ripien, and we also had several Green Berets, some veterans, and some athletes. We had a gymnast and so forth, professional surfer who suffered traumatic brain injuries, and of course the doctors have told them that that brain damage is permanent, and we showed how it didn't need to be permanent, and how there's a special protocol that you can go through, and they've recovered from their traumatic brain injuries where they were disabilitated to all of a sudden they're living productive, fruitful, happy lives, and they don't have all the horrible symptoms of before. And the executive producer, and she's a 3-time Emmy Award-winning producer director. Her husband, who had open heart surgery and had that 23 years before and is now in his 70s, believe it or not, they discovered while we were filming, because Jerry noticed, she's like, wait a minute, Alan has a lot of these symptoms. We discovered that anybody who has ever had general anesthetics, you probably had a traumatic brain injury from having general anesthetics and you're unaware. And all
Wow.
some of these symptoms, and you don't realize that it's connected to being under general anesthetics. So, and it's reversible because he had no treatment for the TBI for 23 years. And even though he's in his 70s, he started the protocol and he had a radical change and improvement where he went from, he was a disabilitated, because of that surgery, he was on disability and was unable to work. And so he was originally a tax accountant, a very bright tax accountant. And so he still, anytime, every year he would do their personal taxes and prepare everything. Well, normally that would take him, since that event, it would take him 2-3 months to put everything together. As soon as he went through the protocol, I don't remember if he had done the protocol, if it was 6 months or a year later, but I know that the next time the taxes were due must have been in either 18 or 19, because I know that we filmed the segment with Dr. Daniel Amen, who is a world-renowned brain specialist, and he does brain scans, and he's on PBS quite a bit. And that's the segment that I was most involved with. But the bottom line is, and that was filmed August 18th of 2018. So anyhow, all of a sudden when tax time came around, Alan told Jerry, oh, I'm gonna get the taxes done. So she's like, oh no, it's that time of year again. So she's like, no, he's gonna be extra grumpy the next 2-3 months, toiling with putting everything together. It's like, rrr. 2 days later, and normally their dining table is filled with all the, files and paperwork and all that. It's like 2 days later, the table was cleared. So Jerry went to Alan and said, hey, Alan, I thought you said you were going to do the taxes. What happened? All the files, all the paperwork's gone. He's like, I already filed them, mailed them. They're done, finished. She's like, what? He's like, yeah, they're done. Filed, mailed, lock, stock, and barrel. They're done. She goes, it only took you 2 days. He goes, yeah, it only took me 2 days. She's like, oh my gosh, that's a radical difference. So things like that are revealed in the film. It's available on Amazon and Vimeo. So if you check it out, I hope you enjoy it. And I hope that there's something that will benefit you or someone you know. There's probably quite a few people that you know that will benefit from that information.
Yeah, sure.
So that's what I do. I produce, and I have a YouTube channel, of course. And I wrote this book called The Intuition Manifesto, which you can see here. There it is, The Intuition Manifesto, which
Okay.
I'm just getting ready to publish. I'm just waiting for some acknowledgments from some other authors. And then I'll make it public so that people can buy it publicly. It has to do with using your intuition and how to increase your intuition and how to fine tune it, and a few exercises in there. So.
Yeah, I just did a boot camp with Laura Day on exactly that. So, yeah.
How was it?
Honestly, I'm not so sure it was worth the money. Yeah, I thought there were way too many people. Did not get any individual feedback. I was pretty disappointed, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, I've taken a lot of, I practically finished a PhD. I'm a psychotherapist in private practice. So
what do you do? Okay. So you're a psychotherapist.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
and I'm really hoping to get more out of her class. I won't attend the last, I think next Sunday is the final 4 hours, and I'm not even going to waste my time. Yeah. Wow. She just, yeah. I think it was a big moneymaker for her.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's too bad. That's the one thing that I love about Dr. Joe's, because you do really walk away.
Oh, yeah.
With a lot of, again, I just love how he melds, because I'm a neurosomatic practitioner. To me, the neuroscience is very important. And I have other doctors that, I also study with Dr. David Snyder, and I follow also Stanford Research Institute has Dr. Andrew Huberman. And he's amazing. I use a lot of, like some of my methods, I've been able to integrate some of the things that he's discovered in his lab. And so that's why I stack modalities together. And I think that's why I'm getting these like it's like, knock on wood, I don't want to say that anything's 100%, but every single person that I've done a process with, every single one of them has been, getting healed and having a benefit. But I'm stacking modalities and neurosomatics. As you know, the 8 neurosomatic systems of the body, your brain is operating mechanoceptively in this way all the time. So I'm making use of those 8 neurosomatic systems. So it doesn't matter. It's like the law of gravity. It's a quantum law of physics that whether you believe in gravity or not, I can take a believer and a non-believer in gravity, put them at the top of the building, have both of them jump, and both of them are subject to the laws of gravity. Both of them will hit the ground. Whether they believe or not doesn't matter. And that's what neurosomatics, is like. It doesn't matter if you believe or not. Your eyes are going to do what they do, your ears, your olfactory senses, your gustatory, your kinesthetic, your interoceptive, mechanoceptive, proprioceptive. It doesn't matter if you believe. Whether you believe that your heart beats or not, it doesn't care. It's going to beat. So when you start to stack the modalities, that's when you start to get, results like this. And so I just instinctively knew to stack certain things together. I just did a video. I think it was just yesterday that I posted it because some people were asking. It's like, I'm suffering from depression. I'm suffering from fatigue, exhaustion, jet lag, blah, blah, blah. And I happened to get a testimonial from a gal that I treated in Nevada. I was at a different training and she was suffering from jet lag. And in class, she was almost in tears. She's like, her face was getting really red. And she's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. She goes, I feel like crying. I'm just heavy. My eyes, my whole body doesn't feel good. It's a 3-hour time difference. She normally gets up at 4 a.m, back east, which is 1 a.m. here, blah, blah, blah. And it's like everything was compounding for her. And she goes, she needed to finish the class because she needed to get that certification because she paid several $1,000s for it. But she was just physically just feeling awful. Mm-hmm. I said, Teresa, let's go ahead. I'll do a neurosomatic process with you. And it took like 3 minutes. So I just took her 1, 2, 3 steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And immediately her face lit up. She's like, oh my gosh. She goes, all of a sudden she started laughing. She goes, I feel so much better. Oh my gosh, I actually feel good. She goes, my eyes feel lighter. She goes, I feel great. I'm fine. So then 30 minutes later, we went on a break and I said, I want to see how you're feeling now. She goes, I'm still buzzing from that. I'm like, can I get a quick testimonial from you and just do a quick little video? She said, sure. So I did a little video. So at the beginning, so in that, it's a short video. It's not very long, but it talks about, I call it the PSMO method. PS for physiological size and MO maniocular technique. So when you put these 3 things together, it gives you that method. And it only takes 2-3 minutes. And a little secret, I actually use that as my morning routine before I even get out of bed.
Wow.
So I do step 1 and 2 before I even get out of bed. Like as soon as I open my eyes, I do step 1, then I sit up, I do step 2. And then when I actually get up out of the bed, then I do step 3. And it ensures that I'm in a happy, like exuberant, fun, like laughing vibe starting off every day. And so it's just a great way to set your mood, so that you're like feeling joyous, like legitimately feeling joyous and not trying to fake your way into feeling joyous for no apparent reason. So.
Okay. Wow. Very interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I want to hear more about your psychotherapy that you do. What do you have an area of specialty?
For a while, my specialty was financial therapy, which is a fairly new field. And with a lot of the underlying beliefs that cause people to repeat patterns. And I've had things like financial infidelity. I worked with, a lot of really interesting cases. But I have a very general practice too. And then I was trying to add on RTT, like rapid Marissa, hypnotherapy stuff. And I was supposed to go to the in-person in Miami, but then the pandemic hit. So I was like, oh, I'll just have to, I'm holding off because I don't want to do it all just online. I think there's so much value in in-person practice.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Marissa Peer. I listened to her videos. I haven't gotten her RT. I probably won't get her RTT certification, but you might want to check out Dr. David's. I'll send you some links maybe that you can check out. He's an Oriental medicine doctor, but he also has a degree in acupressure. He's got so many degrees and so many certifications, but he has completely has melded between Oriental medicine, acupressure, acupuncture, Taoist teachings, Tai Chi, Qigong. He's got 3 different black belts, like in Sistema, which is a Russian martial arts form. And then he has 2, I think it's jujitsu, and I can't remember what else, but it's like 3 different black belts. But he's integrated all of those different things into these healing practices, including hypnosis. He's like the #1 hypnosis instructor and practitioner in the world, as voted by, I can't remember the different names, different organizations. And it's like, one of the things that I love about his trainings is that he also incorporates neuro-linguistic programming. Mm-hmm. So let's say you learn regression technologies. So it's NLP regression technologies. But in order for you to get that certification, you have to do hundreds, not just 10 or 20 or 30. You have to do hundreds of drills before he'll actually give you the certification. So you'll go for anywhere from, let's say, 3 days to 7 days or 10 days, do his course, and you will have treated hundreds of people. In that time, you will have healed hundreds of people in that time. And you walk away, you learn like all sorts of instant inductions, which a lot of hypnotists out there have never done an instant induction, or haven't been able to accomplish all the things that we've done just in that week alone, haven't done that throughout their entire careers. So it's very hands-on. You get the instruction, and then you're hands-on doing it. Instruction, hands-on doing it. It's like layered like that the whole time, which is kind of like Dr. Joe. You get the instruction, then you go into the meditation and you apply. You're doing the breathing and the actual meditation. So yeah, I would encourage you to check that out.
Send that to me. Yeah, I'm very interested. Okay.
I will send you some information on that.
Yeah, better get going. I have another phone call coming, but
I'm glad that we met and that we were able to have this session. And I don't know what happened to the others that were there was a lot of talk about doing these. So, yeah. But I'm glad you and I had an awesome hour.
We did. And I'll be around in Florida when you're there too.
Okay. And so I want to make sure that it's okay for me to put this on YouTube and to make it public, and anybody who might be looking for a psychotherapist who specializes in the financial aspects of psychotherapy, financial blocks, anything having to do with money blocks and so forth. What's your full name and where can they reach you?
Oh, full name is Linda Case. Yeah.
Okay, Linda Case. And what's the best place for them to reach you?
I'll just give my number, 267-377-7349.
Okay, and I'll be sure to put it in the description then, so that people can check that out, and if they want.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Have a nice evening.